So when I head on trips with Christina or go out to take some photos and make a video about taking those photos as I do on the channel, I normally pick my favourite photos and show them to you guys in the videos, and I also share some of them on Instagram too. But sometimes if we go on a little road trip or if I just go for a walk or a hike, I'll take the camera with me and maybe take some photos if something appeals to me. On those occasions I have no plan to really make a video, I just want to enjoy whatever I'm doing and possibly get some photos along the way. And sometimes this can lead to me getting some photos that I quite like, but then often forget about because I didn't have a video to share them in. And this video is about those exact film photos, those forgotten photos that just sit as scans somewhere in my cupboard with all the other scans, and I've pretty much forgot about until now. A couple of rolls from last summer, one medium format roll and one 35mm roll, and I just wanted to show you them in this video, and hopefully it will be somewhat enjoyable for you. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and another video. So last summer we took quite a few different road trips, some of which you may have seen on the channel and a few that didn't make it as videos, and this is one of them. We took a trip to the west coast of Ireland, stayed in a few Airbnbs for a few nights, did some sightseeing, drunk some cold ones, and just kind of relaxed a little bit. I had the Nikon FE with a roll of Fuji Superia 400, which was quite nice to try out, something a little bit different. And around one of the Airbnbs where we were staying, I just took a wander around. It had some nice gardens and stuff, and I just took a few photos. And here are two of those photos, and first off, can I just say how much I love how vibrant those greens are. This was my first time trying Fuji Superia, and I knew the greens were quite strong with that film. Yeah, I love how these look. Look how nice those greens are. This little Airbnb was kind of out in the country a little bit, and they had quite a big area of gardens and almost forest around the Airbnb that we were staying in. And the entrance was this gate on the left hand side in the first photo here. And if you know me, you'll know that I love anything that gives off that countryside feeling. So gates like this, fields, mountains, you get the idea. And this fits the bill nicely. It's not an amazing photo in any sense, it's quite basic actually, but I just really love how it turned out. We've just got the path, the gate leading into the distance. The Nikon FE exposed this one perfectly, and the Fuji Superia just rendered this one perfectly. Yeah, very simple photo, but I love how it turned out. The next one was actually right where our Airbnb was. It was literally just behind where I was taking this photo, and there was a little path sort of cut through the garden here for you to walk around, and I thought it was just quite satisfying that it led right to the electric post and the trees in the distance. So I snapped this one, and again, love those greens. Look how vibrant they are. Quite a basic photo again, but I just really love how it turned out, and I definitely need to shoot some Fuji Superia again now that we're coming into summer and getting those nice vibrant greens, because they look so good with that film. And these next two photos were also shot on the same day on that lane to the Airbnb, and what I did was I was just walking around the gardens, and I believe I took the one on the right first and then walked on up the lane a little bit more and turned around and took the one on the left facing the other way. Even though it was quite cloudy, the sun was kind of shining through the clouds here and there. It was quite diffused, but the difference in these photos is actually pretty crazy now that I have them side by side. The one on the right is obviously facing sort of away from the brighter part of the sky, and the one on the left is facing it. Just quite a difference in contrast, and the colour of those greens, just how deep it is. I do like both of them, and I love these style of photos. Like I said, they are kind of basic photos. It's just me facing straight, trying to center the lane and just taking the photo. But yeah, I love how both of them turned out, and I just love these type of photos. Again, gives that countryside feeling, and yeah, simple photos, but I love how they turned out. And again, those Fuji Superia greens, I'm a big fan. So on that same trip, when we weren't just relaxing around the Airbnb and drinking ice cold ones. We did a little bit of sightseeing, driving around, and these two photos are when we went to see the mountains and cliffs around that area, and I actually love both of these photos. The photo on the left, again, kind of got that countryside feeling, and there is actually a cloud right above where I had to crop this photo that I was waiting to get right into the center of the frame. It's unfortunate it was just too high that the whole frame looked unbalanced if I had kept the crop the way it was when I took the photo, so I cropped it down. But I just love this photo. Again, it's nothing amazing, but it has that countryside feeling. We've got the lane in the foreground just leading you towards the quite dramatic looking mountain face in the distance. Again, Superior rendered this one nicely. Love the colours. Just like how this one turned out. The one on the right definitely has a dramatic feel to it. It definitely is giving me Jurassic Park vibes. That's sort of what I got when I seen the cliff, and I get it even more so when I look at the photo. Maybe it's just me. Do you get that Jurassic Park feeling with this one? Again, love the greens. The exposure in this one turned out pretty perfectly. Just a dramatic shot. Pretty basic again. I just wanted to get the dramatic cliff with the sky in it, and I waited until I had some blue sky peeking between the clouds for this one. Just one for the memories, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think they work nicely together. Along with the other photos from this trip, they work nicely together if I was to put them in a book or something like that. Here's a few photos that you may have seen in a previous video where I was talking about 35mm film or blabbering about something or other. I shared these on Instagram too, so I'll just quickly touch on them and show you. The VW camper van, I absolutely love these things, along with pretty much all the other older VWs and a lot of vintage cars in general. So when we were driving back and spotted these along the road, you know I just had to pull over and get some snaps. Love how these turned out. The lighting was not ideal for these type of photos at all, but I still love how they turned out. Glad I could sort of get like a wider one and then a detailed one too, which just turned out lovely. And yeah, who doesn't love a VW camper van? Also on the drive back, as is often the case when we go on these road trips, you're just driving along and you'll see something. We're in no rush. Pull over, see if we can get some photos. And that is the case with these photos. First of all, let's start with the one on the left. This photo, I think, could have been so much better if the light wasn't so harsh. It was extremely bright. We had sort of scattered clouds. The house that you're seeing was obviously in the shade, which meant the dynamic range was pretty huge. And it's kind of ridiculous that I was actually able to get both detail in the shadows and the highlights in this one. It just shows how good the dynamic range is on film, and this was 35mm, so I think that's quite impressive from Fuji Superior. But yeah, it would have been nice had the light have maybe been hitting the house or had been a little less harsh, because I quite like this scene. We come across these little crossroads and the end of roads, little stop signs. There's ditches on each side, and it just has a very homely feel for me, I think. It has that countryside feeling again, and I think when you see photos like this, there's kind of only a few places around the world that it's probably going to be. So yeah, I try to find those scenes when possible and try to get a photo. This one didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to. The composition I quite like, but would have been better in nicer light. And then we have the photo of the red telephone box. I love this photo. It's just a randomly placed telephone box, but it has the ivy all growing over the side of it. I think the windows in it are all missing, and it just has a very, I think, like almost post-apocalyptic vibe to it. We've been watching The Last of Us on Netflix, as I'm sure a lot of you have too. Great stuff. This kind of gives me those kind of vibes a little bit, and I just knew I had to get a photo of it. Took a few different compositions of this one, wasn't sure which one worked best, but I think the close-up one is probably the best one. Yeah, just those type of things that I love coming across and getting a photo of, and yeah, love how it turned out. Love the colours and stuff. Okay, on to something totally different. I haven't really took too many photos, definitely not too many film photos in the forest, and this photo is really making me want to do that more. I need to go into the forest more with a film camera. It can be tricky, and I find it hard to find compositions sometimes But this photo I absolutely love. We were just on a little wander one day, decided to go for a walk through this bit of forest, and the light was just hitting the back of these leaves, and I thought, I'm going to give this a go. I had an idea of what I wanted it to turn out like, but I was using the Yashica for this one, and if you've done any film photography, you'll know scenes like this, really hard to meter. You kind of just have to let the highlights blow out at certain parts, and thankfully this one turned out perfectly. The exposure was perfect, I think, for what I was going for, and it just has such a an atmosphere to it, this one. Love how it turned out, love the colours, love the glow. Yeah, I think I need to take the film cameras into the forest on days like this and see if I can get more shots. And on to a completely different day. We were on another drive, can't remember what we were doing, but on the way back we came across these, I believe it was cornfields, and there's not too many of them floating around Ireland, not that I've seen anyway. So pulled over, got some shots. This was at sunset, I believe, during the summer, so it was quite late. Got some photos. I think I'd done a few stories at one point. I was standing on the roof of the car to get the photo on the left here because I wanted a higher angle and I wanted to be able to see more of the field. Love how this one turned out. We have the nice blues in the sky. It was just perfect lighting, perfect conditions, at least for the style I was hoping for a shot like this anyway. I snapped a few different variations, a couple of different compositions from each of these scenes, just kind of driving around the field, seeing what else I could get. Yeah, just love the colours, love the scene. Just quite minimal, but just has that real, again, countryside feeling that I really love. And because I love these fields and the roads around these fields, I made a point to come back for a sunrise because, again, if you've watched the channel, you'll know I just love sunrises. There's something slightly different about them, and I always seem to get nice photos at sunrise. So I got up extremely early the next day, had quite a long drive back to these fields where I attempted to get some more shots of the road and, yeah, more of those countryside road shots. And I was off to a bad start. I wanted to get this one of the top of the plants and just the sky in the background. I kind of thought at the time this might happen, and I've learned from it. I should have realised that the shutter speed the Nikon was given to me when I was framing up this shot was too high. I should have adjusted my exposure compensation or something, because this is what I got. Learned from this one. But just as the sun was sort of rising, I managed to get these two shots. The shot on the left, again, a gate, has the countryside feeling. We have the mountains in the distance. I just like these type of shots, like I've said a few times in this video already, sort of using the hedges on each side of the gate to almost frame the mountain in the distance, and we have the nice golden colour of the fields as well. And the photo on the right, we have even more of those golden colours. This field had already been cut, and we just have the mountains in the distance. And I think the field's just so satisfying to look at in this one. It just looks like so smooth, and yeah, something about it I quite like. It would have been nice had there been a bit more colour in the sky in this one, but this was kind of just before the sun was properly coming up, so yeah. And then I took another little drive to a spot I had sort of scouted the day before, where I wanted to get a shot along the road. This is what happens when you set up your shot in the middle of the road, set the timer, and just as you press the shutter, a car comes, so I had to lift the camera, and this is what I ended up getting. Surprisingly, the framing's not too bad on this one because I was literally running off the road at this point. But these were the shots that I was trying to get, which I did get after that. Just shots along the country roads, and again, I just love these shots. They just have such a countryside feeling to them. I would love to maybe make a book at some point with a collection of shots like this that just have such a countryside feeling to them. The one on the right I took first, and this was kind of the main one that I had scouted the day before because it just has this big epic tree on one side. We have the electric poles running along the side of the road, and I knew that the sun was going to be rising on the left hand side over the top of the cornfields, which you can kind of see in the distance, and glowing in on the tree on the right hand side. When I first looked at this photo in Lightroom, I was a bit underwhelmed, so I kind of left it for a while before I did the edit on it, but I do still really like it. I done, I believe it's a 5:7 crop on this one, just because I thought the square just included too much road in the foreground. So yeah, quite happy with that one, and I think that's a spot that I'll probably return to. And then the other photo is almost facing the other way on the road. Quite a minimal scene again. We get to see a little bit more of the cornfields on the right hand side, and I sort of used the overhanging tree leaves to frame the electric pole, which just runs kind of parallel with the road, which I think is quite satisfying to look at. Again, they're not amazing shots, they're not amazing compositions. There probably is a little bit more composing going on there than what it first looks, but yeah, really happy with how these ones turned out, and I think I'll return to that spot. I did take photos of both of those scenes on 35mm as well, just because I had the camera with me and just in case I messed anything up with the Yashica or I preferred the framing on the 35mm, I took those as well, and I think the aspect ratio with the Nikon actually does work better for these shots. Gives a bit more of a cinematic feeling to it with that crop, and yeah, exposure and everything in these turned out pretty nicely, and yeah, definitely a spot I'll return to at some point because yeah, big fan of these type of photos. And on to the final few photos here. A completely random day. I took a random hike up the mountains, took the Yashica with me, and just took a few photos. Conditions were far from perfect. It was quite cloudy, sort of midday time, so we haven't got much nice lighting or really much colour going on, but I do like sort of the composition of these photos. I would like to go back and maybe take something similar in nicer lighting, but it is what it is. It was sort of a bland, cloudy day, but I still kind of like them, or at least the compositions I like anyway. And another two from the same hike, and the one on the left has a bit more going on for me. The lighting was a bit better, but again, could have been a lot better, but it is what it is. I kind of like that one. I'll maybe go back and get it in better lighting. And the one on the right, yes, I like the clouds and stuff, quite dramatic. Just a bit of a bland sort of day. Yeah, it is what it is. I actually took another variation of that first photo, slightly different composition, including more of the clouds, and I think this one maybe has even more potential in slightly different conditions. Those fluffy clouds are kind of nice though, but it was tricky to frame things up, and like I said, the lighting wasn't great, but that's kind of how I'm thinking when I'm out taking photos. Maybe try a few different compositions, because sometimes it's hard to know looking through the viewfinder what works best. And there we have it, some photos from two almost forgotten rolls of film from last summer. Hopefully you liked some of those photos, and hopefully this was somewhat enjoyable to watch. I came across those photos again a few weeks ago, and I thought I just like some of these photos too much to not show in some form or other, and that's why we're here making this video. It's something I'll maybe do again in the future if you enjoyed it, because inevitably there will be more photos like these that kind of get forgot about and stuff, and yeah. If you want to share your opinions on the photos or pick your favourite, I love hearing people's favourite photos because it's not always the same as mine, and I just like to hear why you like a certain photo that I've took. So yeah, if you want to, drop that in the comments below. Maybe give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you want to see more. And I've got a few more videos coming up. One trying Kentmere, and I've got a couple of rolls that need developed that I've been struggling to kind of finish, but they're almost finished, so those videos will be coming soon. But yeah, I'll stop blabbering for now. Hopefully you enjoy this one, and as we always say, take it easy, don't be a stranger. Can never remember if I have anything else I wanted to say, but probably enough blabbering for one video.